Hey guys, this is a production of the J&J Media, brought to you by Minute Peach Framing Designs and Gift Shops. What's up guys, welcome to the 6th episode of the J&J Sports Talk. I'm your host Jordan Dworaczyk, followed by my co-host Thomas Cohick, and another special guest this week we have Matt Smith, aka Flash 9. How are we doing today guys?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good. Alright, let's get started on the right foot. We're going to talk about the Valor Racing League playoffs. We did our first race at the Charlotte Roval. Clash ended up winning the race. He swept all the stages, led most of the laps. I finished fourth. I was leading in stage one, but then I had a misshift. I was in the wrong gear, went down to the first gear, and just spun it right out. But I was able to short pit in stage one, got the damage fixed, and came out ahead in stage two. I fell back a couple of positions. Then we fought our way back up to fourth place to finish in the race. And then Flash, he was in the race. And then Flash, he finished the race fifth place. He almost caught me at the end, but it was a good points day for most of us. That's really what the main goal of this in the playoffs. We still got 2 more races left before the final race of the season at Homestead. But yeah, guys, what are y'all thoughts on the race? We'll start off with clashing.
Oh, the post-race interview. Here we go again. I mean, the race went all right. It wasn't what I was expecting in terms of how the track was, but I honestly thought I was gonna finish second. I figured on Chase being the faster car. I was still confident I was gonna finish top 3 regardless. Even if I wrecked a few times, I was pretty confident in the top 3. But yeah, it was a pretty smooth race. Didn't have any issues. Ran my pace. Never really got pressured by anyone, really.
You didn't feel no pressure for me in stage one?
No, because I was just going so slow, maintaining my pace. I didn't get pressured by really anyone. Because like you said, as soon as you took the lead, you misshift. So that just opened it up.
I led a couple laps. All right. Well, we'll move on to Flash. How was the race from your perspective?
That was pretty good. You know, the goal for me was just to try to widen the point gap over the cut line, really. I didn't get a qualifying run in, so I was kind of nervous about starting 9th, but had a really good couple corners, got to 6th right away, and yeah, I benefited from you having your problems, so I was able to get 3rd in both stages, and then I pretty much expected to be around 5th. I wasn't getting anywhere close to like 113s or anything, so just try to get stage points and then do the best I could and increase the gap, so I'm ready to get to the last 3 races.
So ultimately, the main goal is to get points and advance to the final race, no matter if we win or not. But did y'all feel like y'all got y'all's goal to go get your stage points out there, especially Flash? I know Clash went out there to go sweep all those stages, but from Flash's perspective, you felt like you did your job, what you needed to do out there to be mistake-free and collect some stage points?
Yeah, I really wasn't expecting to be 3rd. Definitely in stage 1. But stage 2, I think Slade and Brennan both pit, and I think they were both in front of me, so that helped me get a couple extra points. And I mean, at a road course, like if Clashin and Chase and Slade and those guys are in the field, like my chances are pretty slim. So just trying to make the least amount of mistakes and get stage points. That was pretty much my game. And then going to Vegas tomorrow, you know, again, try to get points, but I know I have a shot to win, so I'll be going for it.
So we go on to the Vegas for the second race before we move on to Phoenix as the last race of the round 1, or the only round in this playoff system. But Clash, what are your thoughts heading into Vegas? You feel like you have a good car, or For you, I think you only need to collect a few stage points and finish within a certain position to get locked in for the championship race.
Yeah. I think I'm plus 40 above the cutoff line right now. All I need to be is just plus 36 leaving Vegas. So as long as I don't have anything too crazy happen, I should be basically locked in as long as I start Phoenix. But going to Vegas, I used to hate Vegas because the bumps, but lately gotten better. I'm going in for points, but I think I have a winning car. This is probably one of my better cars in terms of handling and overall speed throughout the run. So I like my odds. Should be an easy top 5, hopefully.
So with knowing you got that points gap, that huge points gap over 6th place, are you going to be more aggressive or less aggressive because you're trying to get locked in to going into Phoenix and you don't have to worry about in that race?
I'll just drive how I always drive. I don't think I'm usually a very aggressive
Pretty
driver. Nah, I'm not dirty. Well, maybe I am. Who knows? But nah, we just don't want to cause too many issues, especially knowing that I'm basically locked. The last thing I need is to run into, in Old Town and get him mad at me for Homestead.
I mean, you already have somebody. You got a target on your back from somebody. Not going to name some names, but does that have any effect on you going to the championship race? Knowing if you don't have have you had that target on your back by a certain driver?
It all depends how these next 2 races. Like if I go through, like we haven't had any issues lately, and we've been, pulling over for each other on track. So I think the respect is there. If nothing happens, I'm not gonna be worried about it. But once the race starts at Homestead, I'm just gonna be zoned in. So it won't even cross my mind.
Oh, well, what about you, Flash? How do you feel going into Vegas with your car?
I really enjoy Vegas. It's one of the racier tracks on the game, so we can, actually run side by side. I don't know if we're going to be single file or side by side yet, but I feel like it's one of my better tracks. I found, a really good setup early on. Once we got over to Heat 5, got it tweaked, and just minor changes here and there throughout the race. The races that I've run, it's done well for me. So I expect to at least, be in the running for the win. But other than that, like what Clashin said, I'm not going to guarantee like a top 5 or anything, but I expect myself to be there for sure.
Well, would you put yourself in any uncomfortable circumstances knowing the points situation you're in going into Vegas?
I mean, not in the stages. If it comes down to the win, I guess depending on how many people are in like the lead pack will kind of dictate the move I make. If I'm, in second, if I'm leading, I'm doing my best to keep everyone behind me. But yeah, not definitely don't want to do anything stupid or knocking people up the track or anything. So just gonna do my usual thing, let the points take care of itself, and try to get close to maybe being locked in.
Yeah, I feel like we all got a pretty good car going into this race. We've had some pretty good battles, NASCAR and FOR going into Valor Race now. But closing up on the season, how do y'all feel about y'all's performance throughout the whole season? I know Clashin leads the overall points, which is not the factor going into the championship, but knowing that Clashin, you've had an overall points lead for most of the season, how do you feel about your performance throughout the season? Do you feel like you've had a championship performance?
In terms of championship, no, because I mean we all know Homestead is you just gotta win the race. It doesn't matter if you win every single race heading up into that race. It's all about who wins that race.
Outside of the championship race, I'm talking about your performance overall as an individual. Is it all
I
going to be
th-
dictated by this championship race, or you actually going to have like a side thing to be like, okay, I know I didn't win the championship, but I feel like I am a champion of the performance I had throughout the season.
Yeah, I kind of think like that. Everyone wants to win the championship. Like the championship would be nice. Like that's the number one goal. But as long as I have a smooth race at Homestead, it won't affect my opinion season. It's been good, consistent season. I was hoping for maybe a couple more wins on a few of these tracks, but yeah, to finish second or third basically every week against the competition in this league is an accomplishment. Doesn't matter who you are. So it's been a good season.
Well, also to you, Flash, and how do you feel about your performance throughout this whole season?
I felt it's been good. I think it was maybe like 3 out of 4 races or 4 out of 5 races. I felt like I was finishing second, and then Clashon said he was finished third every single week. So like the performance has been there. It's just like a lack of maybe one move I didn't make to keep myself from having a couple more wins. I kept it clean with Clashon at Chicagoland. I felt like I should have moved him now just to get that second win. But I mean the season, yes, it's been really good considering the competition. I think I've earned more stage points than anybody else in the field, which until you did the stats for that, I really had no clue I was earning so many. So I mean, I've been executing the way I've wanted to all year. Uh, just gotta beat the 14 car, the way it's been the last couple months, it seems like. So um, if he were not there, I felt like I could have, at least 2 or 3 more wins. But other than that, like I'm satisfied for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent in this whole field throughout the whole season, and for us to be top three throughout most of the season, I don't think I had a championship performance season. I've had a good consistent season, running third for most of it, but I don't think I've had a championship performance. But um, that's why I can, like me and Flash, we can go capitalize at the Homestead race to go actually get the real championship, because that's the one that does matter. But there's also that moral feeling on knowing how you did throughout that whole season, and if I could go home and not win that championship, I know for myself I had a good season. But also with the picks, everybody picks certain drivers going into these Valor races, and we have this one guy named Patrick on Twitter. He's some random. I don't know anything about him. Slade must know him. Uh, Mike Bross. He's had a conspiracy theory that is Slade, but yeah. Who is this guy, Clashon, that always picks the same 3-4 people in every single race? He hasn't been picking for a while, but it's just a little shot. Who is this guy?
I do not think it's Slade. I want to think it's just a follower of the Pro League. I think he's just a NASCAR Heat fan. I don't think he watches the races, but he just likes to.
Is it more like a burnt wood from FRR? He would always watch all the FRR races and comment.
No, he isn't like that. Burnt would watch everything. I don't think Patrick actually watches these races. He just does his job in social media and likes and retweets and does a few picks, but I don't think he watches the races.
Flash, he's been a pretty on not picking me or Flash on any not a stage win, not no wins. It seems like he has a grudge against me and you, Flash. I don't know what's going on.
Well, if it is Slade, then we need to have a little chat. But I think he's just going off of the names that he knows, which I remember back from at least the season 2 Pro League, like he would give his picks for that as well. So he he's aware of at least the pro league guys. But yeah, I agree. The bias was heavily towards Chase, Mike, and Slade there for a long time. He slipped clashing in a couple times, but other than that, he's not giving anyone else a chance.
He
Yeah.
picked DB once. At
He
Daytona.
He picked DB at Daytona, and he also picked the Bear. He's picked the Bear more than me and Flash, and the Bear only ran one race, and he backed out like in the middle of the race. He wouldn't even go into the finish. So that just proves to you, if we're gonna have it gives you more thoughts about him. I guess he's picking certain drivers that he does know, and not drivers. I guess he's actually looking at results or looking at these races. Certain drivers finish better.
Yeah, but you can say the same thing for us, kind of. Like, let's say we're going into an HDRS. We don't know anyone besides maybe 2 or 3 people. That, like, if we were to pick the winners, we would probably pick it. We could accidentally pick the slowest, worst driver in the whole field, and we could upset some people.
True. Yeah, that's why we just call them by it when we are broadcasting on the J&J Media. We would just say, like, oh, the 21 car or the 51 car. We ain't really saying their names because we don't really know these people. But now after a few races, we're starting to getting to know certain individuals. But yeah, it's been pretty fun broadcasting on the side. I mean, it's the first couple races that we've tried clashing. And what are your thoughts about that?
I don't like the talk. So I'm not much of a talker, so broadcasting.
Then why do you broadcast then?
Something to do, entertainment. But in terms of the races, I love wrecks. So, like, any mistake someone else makes is comedy for me. I like watching that.
Yeah, look a little loose right there. Oh, the 18th at the wall. There's a crash. No, what is it? Oh my God. Oh, there's a pile up. With the cars in the wall. Yeah, that's what we like to be a little lighthearted on our broadcasts in like HDRS. We really just go out there and just try to have fun because some broadcasts are very too serious and too professional. Like we want to go out there and have fun. We want the drivers to go back and to watch the live stream and be like, wow, I know a wreck, but that was kind of funny, Oh, got a little loose.
Oh, little loose.
Got a little loose. Everybody's on the rails.
Rewind.
Oh, he got shoved into the wall.
The zero pin in the fucking wall.
He got a little wall. And end up having a good laugh out of it. But to go back on what Flash said earlier when he was talking about he had the most stage points for Valor this season, you would never known what type of season you're really having until you actually look into the details of certain average finishes, stage points, and that's why I really liked going out there looking for numbers. I'm more of a stat guy, so I went out of my way and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to see how everybody's doing. And one of the guys that really shocked me that everybody overlooked is Perky, and I honestly think Perky is honestly gonna sneak his way into the final 5 to go to Homestead for the shot at the championship. I know Flash, he's real good buddies with Perky, but are you confident in him as well as gonna go getting that final 5 going into Homestead?
I wouldn't say it's a gamble picking him. Like, knowing that how he's raced at Vegas and Phoenix in the past when I've been with him, like, I almost expect him to run well. So I kind of expect him now. I feel like if he were showing up, then it would be harder for him just because there's an extra guy. But I think, yeah, he'll go out there. He'll get stage points. I don't think he qualifies, though, which kind of hurts him a little bit. Let me see. I'm trying to look where he's starting at.
We will have the standings. So, like, I know you don't. I don't see it right now, but once I add it on the edited for the YouTube channel, you will see the standings right here. I know it would say, I believe Slade was in the 5th spot at 47 points plus 6 above the cut line, but now Slade announced last week that he wasn't going to be making it to the next few races, so that kind of just all but puts him not going to make the final 5. So that moves the next man up, which is Perky. And if you consider the math there, it looks like he's +2 against Mike RPM.
Mike, yep.
So
And then he's 4 over DB. So I think those 3 specifically will be glued to each other at least tomorrow night, trying to one-up each other. So that'll be either fun to be around or hoping that you don't get put in the wall by an aggressive move like at the end of the stages or something.
yeah, I also feel bad for DB, man. He was running 7th place, and I think he was trying to let go of somebody in the final corner, and he ended up wrecking. And it just it went from 7th to 10th, and those 3 valuable points just fell out of his hand right there. And that's it could come back to shoot him, but we'll move on into the NFL Week 7 headlines. We'll talk some football. We'll start off with the Bucs. They got blown out by the Panthers 21-3, and we'll also talk about the Packers. They dropped to the Commanders 23-21. So my question for y'all guys is, who has a better shot to make the playoffs? Is it going to be the Bucs or the Packers? Because they're both, I think they're 3-4 currently. So both on some losing streaks. Is somebody going to go over the hump, or they're just going to stay down in the ditches? We'll start off with Clash in there.
I think at the end of the season, they're both going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're really too worried about it right now. I do think they both make the playoffs. Don't really pay attention to either of these teams. I know the Packers are having some offensive weapon issues, like Cobb, who they brought in the offseason. He's currently out for a few weeks. And then the rest are just a bunch of rookie receivers. So I don't really know what's going on. I do know they have 2 good running backs. So if they were to rely on the running game, that would probably win them some games. And then the Bucs, I don't even know what's going on. They have the weapons. They have the defense. Well, the NFL, I guess it's hard to win, but they should be winning most of these games.
So does that prove your point that you stated earlier in the season that the Panthers are actually a good team?
Yeah. Panthers are a good team. And who's that quarterback that you say is not a good quarterback?
Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was the problem Baker Mayfield, or was it the Panthers just being bad throughout the first 6 games?
I don't know.
Because suddenly
it was McCaffrey.
Yeah, it was McCaffrey.
Yeah, it was McCaffrey. They got rid of McCaffrey, and who was the other one that got sent to the Cardinals? Robbie Anderson, something like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, maybe they were the issue. So now they're playing harder.
Yeah, they were causing too much drama in the locker room, and they're like, once we got them out of there, then we're gonna start playing good. But we'll go to Flash. Who do you think, the Bucs or the Packers, have a better shot at making the playoffs at this point?
I think the Bucs do, because their division sucks. Like, they are leading their division at 3-4 right now. So, I don't see the Falcons. I mean, they're also 3-4, but the Bucs just have a better team than the Falcons do. I mean, I feel like the Panthers defense played amazing, obviously, but I don't see how that's going to improve. And then the Saints, as long as, I mean, their quarterbacks are Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston, so I don't see them going far, especially with Andy Dalton. But then Packers, I mean, they're only like a game out. But damn, Aaron Rodgers just looks miserable when he's playing. He's got a couple good running backs. Other than that, I feel like he doesn't like any of the receivers that he has. Their defense is playing tough, but the Packers can't sustain any drives to even, they keep giving teams like the Commanders multiple chances to get back in the game, and then they blow it. It's the strangest thing when you have 2 teams like that with Hall of Fame quarterbacks you look at the stats, and neither of them are turning the ball over at all. Like, they're not throwing interceptions. They're maybe getting sacked once a game, and then the Bucs put up 3 points, and Brady throws the ball 49 times. Like, it's just the weirdest thing. You expect them to be throwing, maybe 250 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks, and then you're like, oh yeah, they had to have lost. But it doesn't even look like that. But it's so weird.
I also think it was part of a momentum shift in that game when they had Mike Evans drop a big touchdown pass. He was wide open, and in the very first drive of the game, and I felt like that just sets the tone for that rest of the game. You may overlook certain drives, but I think certain plays in the game, even if they're early, it does set the tone going into the rest of the game, which it did because they lost 21-3, and they could only put 3 points against maybe the worst or the third worst team in the NFL. But they may be better because they got the other quarterback in there that's not Baker Mayfield, the XFL quarterback. But he's going out there to prove himself.
Is it PJ Walker?
PJ Walker. That sounds about right.
Yeah. He played well, though. Didn't turn it over. Had a couple touchdowns.
You really overlook like small little details going into certain games, like per se Cooper Rush. He was more of a game manager. He wasn't making big throws. He wasn't making mistakes. That was one of the big things he was doing, is not making mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes out there in an NFL game, that really is pretty big. Unless you're facing, let's say, the Bills or the Chiefs, where you really need to go out there and score 35, 40 points a game, then you may need somebody to start taking risk out there. But other than that, to win an NFL game is real big to just not make mistakes. And certain quarterbacks are really good at that. But if, like, what Cooper Rush did against the Eagles, he threw 3 interceptions, and they just fell down. So some of them could really get exposed by taking those risks, and their stats won't be like 300, 400 yards a game. But moving on into the Sunday Night Football game with the Dolphins versus the Steelers. The Dolphins snuck by the Steelers. They won 16-10. They scored the first 13 points, the Dolphins did, on the first 3 drives. They scored back to back to back, and it looked like they were about to just take off with this. They were winning 13-0, and suddenly they stopped scoring. They couldn't produce no drives, but they ended up getting the game. They won the game. Kenny Pickett, he had a drive going towards there at the end, but he threw a late pick that sealed the game off near the end zone. But that now puts Tua as 4-1 as they started the season, but 4-0 as finishing the game off, because he did get that one concussion versus the Bengals. But what I got for y'all is, are Dolphins better than the Bills, or are they just there, Because once they had Tua as their quarterback, it really shown how better this offense is with him as a quarterback. We'll start off with the Flash there.
I don't think they can compete with the Bills yet. If they can put up more points in the middle of the season here, if they go on a good stretch, then you might be able to say, like, they got it clicking. I mean, they definitely have the weapons, to compete, but to continually see what, the whole country has seen from Josh Allen over the past few years, and his chemistry with Diggs, and Dawson Knox being, he can be a big play tight end when they need him to be. He'll kind of come out of nowhere, and they have some veteran guys, who a couple of them will be in the Hall of Fame on defense now. So I don't think, especially the way they played in the second half against the Steelers, I feel like they should have put up a little more than. I feel like both teams should have put up more than what they did. But more consistency. And then I don't know if they've played the Bills once yet.
Yeah,
They
the
have.
the Dolphins did. Whereas the Bills only lost so far this season.
Okay,
It
so
was a fairly close game though. That was the game where Tua originally got a concussion before he got the
Oh,
other
yeah, that's
concussion
right,
going
right.
in the Thursday night game versus the Bengals.
Right before halftime, he got concussed, but he only missed 3 plays. Like that was it.
The back injury, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see their next game that they play each other. I don't think it's till late.
Yeah, it's literally
Yeah,
like
so
week
they
14.
play again in week 15. Shoot. I'd maybe give an answer like week 11. I need to see like 3 or 4 more games from them before I'd even like put them in a Bills or a Chiefs tier.
But even with the win over
I
the
would-
Bills, that doesn't convince you that they've already beaten a Bills type of team or a Chiefs type of
No,
team.
so they were at home. I'll give them the win, but if you can beat the Bills in week 15 in Buffalo, which is going to be
In
a
about 30-degree weather.
definite like playoff atmosphere game, then yeah, I could say that they would be better, but I think the Bills are the favorite to win the Super Bowl right now. And in my opinion, I think they're better than the Chiefs, which they beat them head to head. So, you're bound to lose a couple games, throughout the season. It's so long, and like these are all, very athletic professional athletes. So, if they can beat them in Buffalo, then it's a different conversation. But I'm sticking with Buffalo for now.
Speaking of athletic, do you have any workout of the weeks going for us individuals who don't work out?
Workouts of the week.
Yeah, I know you do those
Oh,
videos where you demonstrate how to do certain workouts and stuff like that. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
So I like doing them, but because I work for the government and I announced that I had my own training on the side, that I can't do anything online when I'm at my government job because it's like it goes towards like my benefit. So I had to cut them out. At least for now, until I can find like a good space. I don't really have the space in my house that will look pretty on Instagram.
They tried going after you. They were like, "Hey, you can't be making these videos."
It wasn't the people I work with. They all know I wouldn't do anything like that for personal gain, which is not the point of why I was doing that. It was because of I have friends that would appreciate that type of stuff. It was someone that I haven't even formally met, works at another base like a few miles down the road, and was screenshotting my Facebook and turning it into someone over me.
There'll always be some backstabbers out there. You never know.
Dude, it's petty. It gets
very
petty out there
very
sometimes.
petty. Also, we got a little off topic there, but Klassen, what are your thoughts on if the Dolphins are better than the Bills, or maybe even with the Bills, since they already beat them earlier in the season?
They have beat them earlier. I think the Dolphins can keep up with anyone, really. They have the weapons at running back, receiver. Their quarterback seems like a dog. I mean, he said he wasn't going to do some of the things that he did do during the Sunday night game? Yeah, Sunday night game. He still tries to truck people using his head, so probably not the smartest idea. But
Well, it's the same with Josh Allen. He goes head first when he's running.
yeah, but that's
with the
true.
ball.
Josh Allen is a big dude, and he hasn't came off of back-to-back primetime knockouts where he's wobbling off the field.
Well, he's sacrificing his body for the team, and I think
He wants to win. He's a winner, which is going to help them. But I don't know what happened for the Steelers. I know the Steelers' defense is like decent, mainly when they have TJ. So I don't know what happened if they were just trying. I don't know, but I think they can compete with any team, at least in their own building. I don't know how they're going to be able to handle, going to the Bills or the Chiefs.
Minipeach Framing Designs and Gift Shops is worldwide on their websites, www.minipeach.com. That's www.minapeach.com. They offer something for everyone in their gift store. They have so many gift ideas, including baby items, home decor, garage signs, gift for kids, candy, Nintendo items, Harry Potter, Sailor Moon, frames, bereavement items, gnomes, pet items, canvases, art-free walls, and more. They even stock items for every season, including Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween, and Christmas. They even have gift ideas for Mother's Day and Father's Day. Shop www.minipeach.com with promo code JJ10 for 10% off your entire store purchase. Support small business with Minipeach. That's www.minapeach.com. You'll find something for everyone on your store list. The gift shop with somebody ever for minipeach.com at promo code JJ10 at checkout for 10% off your entire store purchase. Speaking of the is the AFC East, I think that's their division. The Patriots fell down to the Bears last night. Do you think the right move was to take Mac Jones out, put Bailey Zappi in, or Clash, and he's going to say no because his parlays.
I'm going to be pretty biased here.
So besides your stupid ass parlays, are we going? Was that the right move? Because he did end up. He had a good first couple 6 passes. I think he started off 5 for 6, and he had like 109 yards and a touchdown. But after that, he kind of fell down and threw 2 interceptions.
I think it was the right move because he does have a bang. We don't know the full story. Like maybe, I guess the interview with I already forget their head coach's name. Who cares? Bill. We'll call him Bill. Bill Belichick.
Mr. Belichick.
He said it wasn't due to injury, but I think it was somewhat to do with injury. The injury. I think Zappi or whatever his name is the better quarterback, but I was shocked Jones was benched for no reason.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Flash, but Bailey Zappi, he played. We played him in high school. He was like the town right over. He was the same district as us, and he played at the same place where I was born. That's why I'm kind of rooting for him. So I hope he does good. I'll be biased towards him in any way. But what are your thoughts on Zappi filling in for Mac Jones?
I mean, he hasn't played bad when he's been in there. I haven't paid attention to the Patriots this season, but I as an Ohio State fan, I was hoping Fields had a good night last night. So I was paying a little bit of attention to the game. I was kind of shocked that Jones was taken out. He had a bad interception that Brisker picked off when they had a good drive going, but other than that, I wouldn't know why he would be pulled unless Belichick felt some type of way, or Jones just seemed like he didn't have it last night. But I don't know. I feel like they're gonna have a fierce quarterback battle for like rest of the season.
Do you think they pulled him out too early? Because that was his first game back after injury.
I mean, it was like they didn't have the best first quarter last night, but then maybe Bill just made a quick decision, maybe thinking, based off of the way Fields came out in the first quarter, he said, we can't have, we're not going to waste our time, and hope that he finds a rhythm at some point, if you can't really get yourself down 3 scores in the NFL and, think you have a strong opportunity to come back and win the game. So I guess, he saw something and didn't want to take his time. Maybe they felt like that was a must win, because Patriots were favored like 80% to win last night. So, I bet he felt like that was a game that they really needed to win at this point in the season, and he went with a quick change, and it didn't quite work out.
Do you think that dirty slide was like any way, shape, or form like involved in the decision to pull Mac Jones?
The what?
The slide. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's all over TikTok, where he slid and then raised his leg and he kicked the defensive back in the jewels.
I have not seen that. I must have missed it.
Yeah, because he did that, and then he threw a pick to that player who he did it to, and then he was benched.
That's karma.
I saw the interception. I must have looked away. When he did the slide, but I don't know.
Well, you're our senior NFL analyst, Flash. You can't be missing any plays. I'm
not a Patriots fan, so I'm still sour from all the years where the Colts got beat by Brady. So
I don't blame you.
I'm still not upset when I see the Patriots lose.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next topic. We're gonna NFC East. They have a pretty close battle for the second place in the division. The Giants are sitting at 6-1, while the Cowboys took over the win over the Lions. Now they are 5-2. But the Giants, they just somehow always squeaking by these close games. The Jaguars, they were 1 yard away. I believe Christian Kirk, he caught the ball right at the 1 yard line. His momentum was keeping him to the end zone, and the defenders just stopped him right at the line before he got there. And if the Jaguars would have scored that touchdown, it would have been tied, and then all of the Jaguars would have to do is get the field goal to take the lead. It would have been 24-23, but they came home short. Giants won. But for the Dak Prescott, that was his first game back. He got a little rusty for the first quarter, and heading into the second quarter, they got a few field goals. But for the most part, second half is where they really turned it up, and also their running game and their defense. The defense had 5 turnovers in the second half. So they really stepped it up. But same question we asked last week. Who did this game change y'all's mind on who the number 2 team in the NFC is? This was mainly for Shady, but Shady ain't here. But we'll start off with Clashing here.
No, it really doesn't. I think they're a top 5. The number 2 team is still a toss-up for me between the Vikings, the Cowboys. I still have the Giants as a top 5 team in the NFC. So I don't know if I said San Francisco, which I know they lost, but with getting McCaffrey, I think San Francisco is a good team. I really do.
Yeah, you mean the team that got blown out, right?
Yeah, but the Chiefs are going to blow out everyone, including the Cowboys.
Me and Clashing had this big discussion on who, if you're up by this many points, you're blown out, but if they come back to this many points, they're not blown out. So I think the 49ers got blown out by the Chiefs. But Clashing doesn't.
49ers played the Chiefs really good. It's just most people can agree. Anyone that plays the Bills or the Chiefs are going to get embarrassed on the scoreboard. You just know it's going to happen.
But even not really, because the Raiders are 1-5, and they still hung in there pretty good.
Versus the Chiefs, the Raiders always play the Chiefs good, no matter what.
But you say, they could smack any team like that 40 points.
Man, they can score 40 on basically everyone.
But have they though? What they lost to the Colts?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Things happen.
Our only bright spot of the season.
Well, no, y'all got more bright spot. Y'all got Sam Ellinger, I believe that's his name, filling it. Now he's actually going to take over as starting quarterback. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm excited for him. I always knew when he was a quarterback for Texas, I a lot of the big Power 5 schools, I know they weren't winning a ton when he was there, but they had coach issues and all that other stuff going on. But I feel like he's an athletic guy. He had a really good preseason. I know it's preseason, but the fact that you can come in and not turn the ball over no matter who you're playing against, make some big plays. I think if I was the head coach, I would have made the move too, and also like knowing that my job is definitely on the line. Like at this point, if Reich isn't winning games, he's going to be gone. If Irsay hasn't already made up his mind. He's mobile. I feel like the athleticness will get him away from some of these offensive line issues that we're having. Like if someone leaks through and no one's open, he can scramble, where Matt Ryan just kind of like works within a 6-inch box and then decides to fall down or fumble the ball. So that's kind of what I've been watching all season. And I feel like they saw something with Ryan where he's not willing to take chances in one-on-one coverage, like if it's tight, because Pierce and Pittman are both big. They're like 6'3", 6'4". I think they've both shown that they can go up and get the ball if they're given a chance. And I don't think Matt Ryan was giving them the opportunity. He was just holding on to the ball, waiting for a massive window to complete it. And we already lost twice to the freaking Titans, so I want to see what the kids got, and I hope it pays off.
Well, we'll also go back to our other question that we had, but with the Giants and the Cowboys and the Vikings. Well, I asked you the question about the Sam Ellinger, but we'll go back. Do you think
Cowboys?
You got the Cowboys as the number 2 team in the NFC, knowing that Dak is back?
So the Vikings were off. So I think by default, I would keep the Vikings number 2. I like the way the Cowboys played. Dak did well. The defense played really well. I'm going to give the Giants more love this week because Mucka heard me not give them a ton of respect last week. So I will say that my respect for them has improved. I thought the Jaguars would win at home because they're a young team, but I feel like, in their couple wins they had the opportunity to battle for like a 500 record this year. But the Giants keep making plays, man. So if they keep, pulling out wins, people are going to have to start respecting that and, start moving them up the power rankings and all this other stuff. So I'm still going to put the Cowboys a little bit ahead, but if the Giants continue to win, then it'll be more of a tie until they play next.
That's pretty fair. All right, we're going to move on to our NFL Week 8 J&J Media Picks of the Week, sponsored by MiniPeach.com. They got all your needs and everything. But we'll start off with the Ravens versus the Bucs. That's going to be our first game we're going to pick. We'll go over clashing. Who you got there?
This could be tricky.
This is a trap game.
I know, because like last night I was like, the Patriots are gonna win this game 100%, and it's like you look at the scoreboard, it's like nope. So like the Bucs have played bad lately. Is this their turnaround game to show people like they're still contenders? The Ravens always find a way to choke it at the end of the games, but I'll go safe and just go with the Ravens.
Because they play more physical football? Is that why you go there?
Because they have Lamar Jackson, isn't it? And it's a primetime game, so maybe Lamar will play a little harder.
Yeah, it is Thursday night game. All right, you got the Ravens. Flash, who you got?
Bucs. Bucs at home. I think Brady gets his stuff together on primetime game.
All right, I'm gonna go with the Bucks on this one. I think they actually turn this around, but I wouldn't say that this is like their big turnaround game. I still see them going for wins and losses here, close games. But this one should be. I think this will be a lopsided one. I see it more actually high scoring, 35 to 21. But all right, next game we'll have the Giants versus Seahawks. Who you got on that one, Flash?
I think this will be this is one of the games I'm talking about. Like if the Giants go to Seattle and then they can win, they get to 7-1. You have to say okay, they can contend for the division.
Because the Seahawks are no scrubs themselves. They're a pretty decent team.
That's what I'm saying. I think I'm going to go Seattle on this one. I'm going to stick with the home team. I think they're going to play tough. I think the Giants let one slip away.
Clash, who you got on this one?
I think this is going to be actually probably one of the better games of the week. Should be a close game. I know the Seahawks are going to be missing Metcalf for the next few weeks with a torn ACL, but I'm going to go Giants.
Yeah, if you can go into the Seattle, which it's a pretty hard environment to go in there. Their fans are pretty rowdy, but I do see the Giants coming home with the win on this one. That will really prove themselves that they actually have a good win against a very decent team. Because some may see the Seahawks just because they have Geno Smith as a quarterback that they're not a real serious contender, but they're sticking in there, and I believe they're in the lead in their division in the NFC West. But if they can go in there and Seattle and win this, I believe I see them as a like with Clash and Flash to say I could see them as a number 2 team, put them over the Cowboys as in a NFC. As we move on to our next game and our final pick, we'll have the Packers versus the Bills. Will this be the game that the Packers come back and turn it around? We'll start with you, Clashing.
Be an easy Bills win. I mean, the only chance the Packers have is if the Bills just have an off game. Like, oh, easy wins, they just don't show up. But it should be an easy Bills win.
You don't see no vintage Rodgers coming out?
Unless vintage Rodgers has Lamar Jackson legs. I don't. He isn't carrying that wide receiver core at all. No chance.
He's really missing Devontae Adams at this point, right?
And with Cobb being out for a few weeks, their offense is going to be really limited.
Yeah, they did fall down to the Washington team, so that was pretty sad. Which Washington, they could sneak by and get that 7th spot. I'm not saying.
Speaking of Washington, didn't they just trade their starting running back away to the Jets? Robinson from Bama.
I did. I think
that was Jacksonville.
Oh,
Allen Robinson.
No, it was a running back. I thought.
Yeah, it was a running back because the Breece Hall tore his ACL, I think, and then Jacksonville has ETN and Robinson. They traded Robinson away.
So it wasn't Brian Robinson from Washington. It was a different Robinson. Okay.
No.
All right, Flash. What are your thoughts? Who are you picking for this game? You think the Packers turn around, or the Bills just going to dominate like usual?
I'm going to say Bills. I have a feeling that the Packers defense has been pretty tough. I think they can keep the Bills under 30, but I don't see how the Packers score 25 to 30 points to sneak it out. So I'm going to go Bills.
I'll finish it off, and yeah, Bills are winning this one. It'll be a clean sweep out of all 3 of us. We're all picking the Bills, and that is our NFL Week 8 J&J Media Picks of the Week, sponsored by MiniPeach.com. and we're now moving on to the NASCAR side of things. We had the second race in the third round at Homestead, which Kyle Larson swept all the stages and won the race as he led 199 laps of the 267 scheduled laps, which I saw earlier by a post that was the most dominant race of the season so far as he led 76% of the laps. But what are y'all thoughts on this race? We actually got to see some different lines, mainly the high line. If you ran the high line, you got gifted with some good lap times, but some cars couldn't really handle the high line. They had to run middle, topish. But we'll start off with Flash. It was a pretty decent race. Restarts were pretty fun to see. But overall, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. It was just kind of a blah race for me. Honestly, in years past, I just don't feel like I'm as engaged in the races like I have been. And I'm like as diehard as you get. Like, I don't miss races. I know everything that goes on, all that type of stuff. But it's just, they get to certain tracks. Other than the first 5 laps, everyone's running single file. No one's really, gaining on anybody else or anything like that. So, I expected Larson to be tough. Him winning was better than Chastain locking himself in, but I don't know. As something with the car, I have an issue with them having to shift on anything larger than a half-mile track, because I feel like if someone can pull out and they get a gap on someone, then they can start downshifting to keep their RPMs up, and then technically, like, how is someone else going to catch the guy in front unless they legit just mess up or get in the wall? So it was good early in the season, but now the racing just kind of getting to, all right, when is the season over so they can fix these issues?
It's more of a lackluster race. As I don't know if you watched the Xfinity race, because there was a lot more passing there. It seemed like in the Cup cars, you'd get to a car, but then you just couldn't pass them unless you actually had that absolute faster car, like a Larson or a Truex car. But the Xfinity race, it was pretty fun to watch for the most part. As Gregson got home that win I believe it was the 8th win of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It forces. I think they just have to wheel the Xfinity cars better and harder. Like, I think somewhere down the line, I think NASCAR needs to look at the trucks, Xfinity, and Cup cars, and they need to find a way to make them comparable, I feel like. Because at this point, there's no purpose really to the trucks or Xfinity series if the Cup car is like a spaceship compared to like an actual car or truck. Like, the parts are all completely different. Tires are different. The Cup car is nothing like we've ever seen before. And you have, mainly, it's like Stuart Haas is getting screwed out of this stuff because you have guys like Cole Custer and Briscoe who, like, the season before they moved to Cup, they each won like 8 or 9 races. And Custer's lucky to even get in the top 20 with a car that, whatever, but he can be successful in a car like an Xfinity car. Like, and then like Haley Deegan, like I get like the truck isn't always going to be the strong suit for a lot of drivers. Like, we've seen that plenty of times before, but then she can hop in an Xfinity car for the very first time and finishes better than like 90% of her truck career, like in her first start. Like, I just don't get the long-term like I feel like they don't see the long-term problem of like you have these people working their asses off to get in this spot only to not understand how to drive this crappy cup car.
And even with the old Cup cars, say when Cole Custer came up and Chase Briscoe, they had Xfinity cars, and then they come up to the old Cup cars. These old Cup cars had some giant ass spoilers and only 550 horsepower. So it was just mainly pack racing, other than when they go to the short tracks where they actually had 750 horsepower and less downforce, where they could actually wheel it, save some equipment. Short tracks and road courses where they had the high horsepower, low downforce package. But when you go to the next gen cars, completely different. So what's the purpose of even having Xfinity and truck cars if it doesn't even translate well into the Cup cars, where that's the ultimate goals of these drivers, is to go and race in the Cup cars?
Yeah, it's something that I feel like, especially motorsports, like it really hasn't been seen before. Because like you look at other sports, right? Like basketball, football, baseball, all that stuff. Like you go to college, you're playing the same sport, right? Against comparable athletes. Like college, much like, high school, you're evolving to a greater level, but not everyone in college is going to be equal to an NFL player. But you're learning the same game, playing against players that are going to make you better until you like, oh, I'm in the NFL or in the NBA. For like even IndyCar, they have the Indy Lights, which not the same car, but at least it looks the same. Like, and like other motorsports is, comparable. And now you got, I mean, the trucks has been fine, but even then, like the trucks now compared to what they were 20 years ago, I feel like those are completely different. The guys that they're moving into the truck series, I'm literally not a fan of any of them. I feel like the trucks has been terrible the last couple years. And Xfinity cars I love watching those. It really brings out the talent in people, and then they get to Cup and all of a sudden they want to manipulate horsepower and having 3-foot wings on the back so the guy behind him has a chance. Like, why? I don't understand the thinking, and they just need to rip everything underneath the car out of it, raise it like 2 feet off the damn ground, have a real tire on it, and let them sling it around these tracks like they did like 30 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like the tire is also a big issue. Tire and horsepower. The tire is like way too wide, and it has way too much. Yeah, way too much grip, and it's carrying too much speed into these corners to where you're just 100%. Also at these road courses, you're 100%, 100%, 100%. And if you can't really save the car like how the old Cup cars at road courses is like, okay, if I go 90%, I can save my brakes for the later in the race. Now it's like if you go 90% now, you're losing so much time. But if you go 101%, you're over the edge, and you're gonna go over, lock the brakes, ram somebody, and it's just a completely different style of racing with these Cup cars. Which, I mean, it's produced some good racing beginning of the season, but it's like starting to get
it ran its course real quick. I feel like
but Flash, I mean, not Flash. Clash, what are your thoughts on the Homestead race and the next gen car in general as well? How they ran at Homestead?
In terms of the racing in Homestead, not the greatest. It hasn't been the greatest for me all season, but I think we all know who had the better car. Hopefully his car gets inspected instead of Kevin Harvick this week. Yeah, it was basically a 2-car show. I mean, the only way Truex was winning is if he had to lead this so he could just, block and use the dirty air and all that. But in terms of these cars, yeah, At the start of the season, they were good. They were hard to drive. You had a lot of people wrecking that couldn't control them. And now it's like I think the teams are learning what they can do to help the car. So now it's just getting worse, and passing is almost, I won't say not possible, but it's really difficult. Which it is racing. You're not, isn't it? Passing isn't supposed to be easy, but heading into Martinsville, could be a pretty boring race.
Especially with the shifting at Martinsville, that plays a big factor into how they drive, and the no really tire fall off at Martinsville. So I expect another boring race going into.
In terms of Martinsville, I don't know if you heard this, but didn't they do a test there to try to limit the shifts? Like,
Yeah,
was
they
that
tried
part of
to. They tried different with the ratios, but there it was so high enough to where they were still shifting into fourth gear going into the corners. Like there's nothing they did with the gearing ratio that actually made them not shift. But it was also when they did the test was, I believe it was late in the summer, so there was actually some tire fall off, but not as much as with the old Cup cars used to have seconds of fall off, but now it's you'll get 7/10 of fall off here, but after a whole run, which is pretty crazy to think you're only getting that much fall off. Clash.
Yeah, and plus it's going to be a colder race, so yeah, I don't think there's going to be much.
The same as the spring race. It was cold there as well. That's why there's not really much passing, because all you had to do with these wider tires, you could just rip the bottom, and they carry so much speed, and it's not going to fall off. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm worried about it. Like it's the cutoff race to go to the championship, and it could be single file, like the entire 500 laps. Martinsville is like basically has been my favorite track, since I became aware like I'm watching NASCAR, and even like all through the 90s and the 2000s with the cars that they had. You could beat and bang, the tires would fall off. The winner of the race, had tire marks up and down like one or both sides, and fenders were beat up, and like it was cool to watch, and it was a track you want to go to watch. And now it's like, even the last few years, there's a lot of tire fall off, but what we saw in the spring, like it's almost November, so like it's cooler here, and it's basically going to be the same. But I would put that in the favor of like a Ryan Blaney, though. Like I feel like if they bring something similar to what they had in the spring, he's going to have a shot to win and knock Byron or Chase out, or like even Chastain if he's not on his game this weekend. That might be the one exciting thing to look at.
Yeah, the playoff standings going into this race, we have Chastain in second place. Logano's already locked in, so we have Chastain in second, Chase in third, and Byron as your top four. Then below that we have -5 below the cut line at Denny Hamlin. Then you got Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, and Chase Briscoe. So Chase Briscoe must win. Christopher Bell must win. Ryan Blaney, I could see him. He's still a lot of points out, but he did run there. He did run well there in the spring. They had more of a long run car, but I don't know. Some teams will have different notes, so they're going to be running a little better there. So we'll see about that. But who do y'all see going to be y'all's championship 4 to Phoenix the next week? We'll start with Flash there.
Oh man, I'm nervous about it. I'm a Chase fan, so the last 2 races don't really have me sitting comfortably in my seat. Martinsville's been one of his better tracks, so I'm hopeful. But so we got Logano. I think Chastain will run well enough that he won't have to worry about points. let's see. At this point, I'll put Byron in based off of his performance earlier this year. And at this point in the week, I'm thinking Blaney he's going to go in there and he's going to win the race, and Chase's group is going to have to put up a championship caliber effort based off of what they've been turning in to the track. You know, that he won Talladega, but that's Homestead or Texas or anything like that where he has struggled. So I think Blaney wins and Chase might be out.
Damn, you took my pick from me. We'll go with Clash. I was trying to go lead up to Blaney winning, but Clash, and who has your top 4 going into Phoenix?
I think the top 4 is set. Yeah, I think Ross and Elliott Byron will make it unless they have a mechanical issue, like something you can't control. Blaney is probably the best chance to win the race. I don't see Denny running very good at all. I don't see Bell running, and definitely not Chase Briscoe. So I think Blaney is gonna be the car to watch to upset who makes the Final 4.
Yeah, I see the same. But I had my top 4 going into the playoffs. I had Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, and Reddick or Kyle Busch. It was one of those 2. But I'm gonna stick with my original 3 that they had: Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and I believe Blaney. He's gonna win, but if I think Chase is gonna run a smooth second, so he's gonna get some good stage points. But for my 4th driver, I don't want to say it, but I think Ross Chain is gonna find his way through, making to the Final 4.
I mean, Ross is plus 19, so he basically just don't wreck. Hope there's no engine issues, nothing. He just has to run his race. And he can still get eliminated, like if he doesn't get any stage points. But if he just runs a solid 7th throughout every stage and finishes 7th, like he should be.
But if you have a new winner, like Ryan Blaney, that's going to move the cut line down to where Chase Elliott's at, or Byron.
8 points that's a lot. If something happens, yeah. But if he just runs a smooth race, 8 points is a lot. He just has to get stage points. It's basically it. It doesn't really have to overperform and run 4th every stage.
What about Denny Hamlin? You think he's gonna pull something out the bag, because he didn't run there very well in the spring, and he's only 5 points out of 4th place.
I'm worried about him. Denny used to be really, really good here with the old cars, but then we go here in the spring, and then Denny's like 38th every stage, just no speed whatsoever, getting lapped. Maybe they found something, but I don't see them cracking the top 15 for more than a few laps.
It's mainly going to be where you qualify for the most part. If you qualify up front, you're going to stay up front, because passing is going to be at a premium for that race. So yeah, if you can qualify in the top 5, you're going to be finishing in the top 10 for some good stage points. But if you're in Bell, Briscoe's position, you're possibly Blaney, you're going to go out there and need to get a walk-off for a win. But Flash he already picked his win, so he said Blaney was going to win. I predict Blaney's going to win as well. Clash, are you going to sweep it out?
I wish I could see the qualifying results, but a little too early in the week for that. Was there any tire issues for the faster cars in the spring? Like, with the guy that had the speed, did they have any issues?
No, it was mainly just like the Hendrick cars had more of the shorter run cars. Byron had like the overall car, but it was Hendrick had the shorter run cars, and then Penske had the longer run cars towards the end. But the race was also 100 laps shorter, so it could be a completely different going into an even longer run. There was a late race caution at the end, so it did have a green-white checkered. So what, does that change your mind on who you're going to pick for this this week.
I want to pick Blaney, but every time Blaney's up front, something always happens. He just has bad luck. I kind of want to go with I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Truex. I'm gonna go non-playoff driver.
It's not a bad pick. He always runs there. He runs well, pretty there. I mean, he runs well there most of the time. In the old Cup cars, but I can't remember how he did in the spring race. But
Looking.
as we have our analyst Flash coming in for the clutch.
I'm on it.
But
So it was like all of Joe Gibbs struggled really bad. So he was 22nd.
oof.
Yeah, but he started mid-pack, so hopefully he gets a good qualifying and can just run the bottom and protect.
Also, Blaney and Truex they haven't even won this season, so they could be. I believe it was 20 winners or 21st winners, 21 new winners this season. But I do see Blaney coming home with a win, as that will wrap up our show, our 6th episode in the J&J Sports Talk. I want to give a big thanks for Flash coming in last minute. I know he wasn't prepared for certain topics, but we got him in, and want to give him a big thank you for coming on the show, Flash.
Yeah, no problem. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, love talking sports. Any last thoughts, Clash or Flash?
I got nothing besides hopefully the Steelers beat the Eagles this week.
Do you think they're going to pull off the upset?
I hope so. I mean, hopefully the Eagles go in, they get an easy win, they're all down, and then our quarterback, whatever one starts the game, pops off for 400 yards.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next week. All right, thank you. Hey guys, this is a production of the J&J Media, brought to you by Minute Peach Framing Designs and Gift Shops.